Good afternoon, everyone. It's Allie Coram and Shreve here with a breakdown of the action for Monday, January 29th, where we saw stocks rallying today, Ken, on the heels of some Treasury news.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Russell 2000 up 1.4%. Good day for the markets. Let's talk about three stocks. First one's going to be UiPath, ticker PATH. This is robotics automation software. Also want to take a look at restaurants. They've been on fire. Chipotle, nice breakout today. CMG, and also Azek,
All right.
maker of building products.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. The NASDAQ today up 1.1%, but it wasn't the leader. As you mentioned, Ken, small caps really turning it up a notch today. The Russell up 1.4%. Then we have the S&P 500 up about 0.75%, and the Dow up 0.6% today. Here's a look at the NASDAQ. A nice close for the tech-heavy index, getting above last week's highs.
Yeah, pretty strong. We also had a good volume push as well. Volume was pretty light Friday, so it looks like we're going to get volume about 10% higher on the Nasdaq. We look at the weekly chart. This is still an index that is getting closer and closer to its all-time high there of 16,212. We have the S&P 500 going into all-time highs, and the Dow going into all-time highs. The Nasdaq composite not quite there yet.
Yeah, but look at how many weeks up in a row all of these major indexes are, Ken. So it's pretty impressive. Not quite there yet is the Russell 2000, but a notable day here with the close above that 2000 level. It's what we've wanted to see. Still more progress is needed, but this is a good start.
Absolutely. In fact, on IBD Live, we were talking about the daily chart for the Russell 2000 and the fact that it had been trying to rally in recent days and bumping up against that 2000 level, and a pretty volatile price action over the past 4 trading sessions or so. Just wasn't able to hold early gains, closed near its low. But today, the complete opposite. So you got a retaking of that 2000 level. I think it was a pretty bullish technical move for small caps. You mentioned the reason we had bond yields, kind of fell off the cliff. The 10-year yield at last check was down 9 basis points to 4.07, and we find out that the Treasury Department basically cut its borrowing plans for Q1. It had intended to borrow, I think it was $816 billion. Now it's only borrowing 760. So people took that as an opportunity to buy bonds and send those yields lower, and stocks sure like that quite a bit.
They sure did, and small caps especially benefiting. And this is also in the context of a big tech earnings week. So we have Microsoft kicking things off tomorrow, a lot of big reports, and more Fed news to come this weekend. So it could be a big week for traders, either which way, depending on net how the news is perceived, but a lot to be looking at this week.
A lot to be looking at this week, and there's no doubt. You mentioned the earnings tomorrow, Google and Microsoft Tuesday after the close, and then we've got Amazon and Apple and Meta. They're coming out Thursday. So definitely, a lot of these magnificent 7 stocks have been just on a tear, and a lot of good news may be built in here. We could see sell the news in some situations, but I have to tell you, when you look at the market and the way it reacted today, there still seems to be a pretty good bid out there for stocks, and we are in a confirmed uptrend. So these 5 magnificent 7 stocks that we're going to see this week on the earnings front, maybe there's reasons to be optimistic that we're going to get pretty good numbers and maybe good outlooks as well. So, bottom line, we're still on a confirmed uptrend here. So when the tide is flowing positive, that's a good environment for individual investors.
Absolutely. And one ETF to check in on, KRE. Can give us your take here.
Yeah, we've been kind of increasing our financial exposure in the leaderboard model portfolio. We now have, 3 financials in there, as well as a still, pretty heavy tech weighting. But I'm just still keeping an eye on the regional banks here. This is the KRE regional banking ETF. Just really, really a good technical setup, and it's really emblematic of, a lot of stocks in this group that are acting well. So this is a nice setup here, telling me that KRE could see some higher prices here here, especially if we end up having a good week for the market. So still seeing a lot of tech leadership, but seeing the financials acting well here too.
Yeah. So speaking of tech, let's check in on an AI play. This is UiPath. The ticker here is Path. And we covered this one this morning on IBD Live. It was also our stock of the day today and continued to power higher as the session wore on, clearing an early entry with this declining tops trend line, Ken.
Yeah, RPA, robotic process automation. So you tend to see this type of technology when it comes to kind of repeatable, mundane tasks that companies they use the software to for that type of purpose. So UiPath had a really good response to earnings, a gap up, a little bit volatile when it pulled down to its 50-day moving average here, but that decline came in mostly light volume. On the daily chart here, you see a nice rebound off the 50-day moving average. Arguably, maybe a little bit of a buy signal for aggressive traders, but a good example here where you want to look at the weekly chart as well for better perspective. And you can see, it's slightly above that 10-week line, but I'd like to see a little more progress here. You can see this is just a classic example of a kind of the right side of a base taking shape here. So path may continue to move higher here, and as it approaches those recent highs around 26, maybe it'll drift lower. So I think this one needs a little more work, but you can see the explosive earnings gains in recent quarters. You see revenue growth accelerating, so there's a lot to like here fundamentally. And look at the big increases in fund ownership since the first quarter, from 403 all the way up to 718 at the end of last year. So you're seeing pretty meaningful rises in fund ownership here too, which is a good sign.
Yeah. Thanks for that analysis, Ken. Okay, let's take a look at CMG. And I want to start on the daily, actually. Look at this power higher above a little base here, up 3.3% by sessions close, looking like it closed at day highs, and some volume behind recent upside moves.
Yeah, Chipotle's been raising prices like a lot of other restaurants. It's been become very difficult coming out of this this period of inflation. Inflation has really been seen in the restaurant business, not only in wages but just in food costs as well. But this is really just a classical symmetrical breakout today. There wasn't any news. We just know that this is a industry group that's been super strong in the market. When stocks move, they tend to move in groups. So we're just seeing broad-based leadership among a lot of top-rated restaurant stocks. So to see Chipotle breaking out in heavy volume today, again, I think this bodes well for the confirmed uptrend, seeing leadership broaden out in a lot of different areas of the market.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. This wasn't alone. It's not like this was the only restaurant stock moving today, right?
Yeah, let's take a look at Shake Shack. That's got a very loyal following, and here's another one. The volume was above average. Nice little breakout today over that 76.74 high. Pretty strong move up over 70. Feels like maybe you'd be chasing it here after a big run in a short amount of time, but still really strong technical action. And also like Texas Roadhouse, TXRH made another nice move today. So you see a lot of these restaurants moving, probably in anticipation of this soft landing scenario where business might be good for the restaurants between now and the end of the year. We'll have to see, but really liking the price action in the group.
Yeah. And I think Chipotle also was added to Swing Trader today. And this was another one we covered on IBD Live in the early going, as was Azek. We cover a lot of tickers throughout the day, Ken. And here's another one, AZEK. You are all over this one, up 3.3% today.
Yeah, I really like the action in this stock too. It's in a strong industry group in the building sector, construction products, miscellaneous. So Azek has got a lot of different brands that they're known for, but they do a lot in kind of railings and decks, engineered building, and they have exposure in the residential and commercial market. So, really bullish move here off of that 25, ran up to about 39 or so, kind of pulled back and settled into a new base here, and arguably a buy signal today. So, again, there's just broad-based leadership in this group as well. What I like here, when you look at the last 4 quarters of earnings and sales, past, some growth is kind of not so great, but in the third quarter, you had a big turnaround where earnings were up 125%, revenue was up 28%. So I probably have a little interesting turnaround story here. And again, just kind of blending fundamentals and technicals here. Here's a stock that measures up and is in a pretty good technical setup amid pretty good earnings and revenue.
Yeah, looks like it. All right. Well, thank you, Ken. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live. And we hope you join us, investors.com/IBD Live, for all the details on that. We will see you then. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow at the close.